Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another interview with BDI Leadership Network, where Mary Alps and myself and our team are helping leaders to breathe, dream, and inspire. Inspire yourself and inspire your team and inspire those that you are serving and working alongside. Today, I'm doing an interview for Fuel and Fire 2026 in Manassas, Virginia, and I am joined by Carol Newell, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about herself. Her and her husband are the founders and CEOs. Is that correct?
That is
Family Hope Center.
that is correct. Yes, yes, we are.
Okay. All right. So, do I call you Dr. Carol or is
No,
it Carol?
no, just Carol, just Carol. We're both educators and therapists, so not doctors. So, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So, Carol, I'll turn it over to you. I'll have some questions in a little bit, but just um, tell us a little bit about yourself and Family Hope Center.
Yes, absolutely. Well, a little bit about myself. My education started back in the United Kingdom, where I grew up, and I trained in early childhood education. Always had a passion for both the way children develop as well children, but also the way they develop when they have challenges. I had a cousin who had special needs and spent a lot of time with her when I was growing up, and that gave me the desire to want to be able to help children and adults who have challenges. And over the years, with my studies, it led me to the United States, where I studied neurodevelopment. And my husband and I both met in this field, working together. We worked together for about 20 years, working for another organization, but then really wanted to expand the things that we did. And when you work with a structure from a very specific organization. Obviously, you follow that, but for us, we wanted to expand and educate parents even more, learn a lot more, and do a lot of new things. So we started the Family Hope Center over 20 years ago, working together to really help and support parents of children who have special needs or brain injuries, anything to do with the brain we work with. Now the labels that children have been given over the years have changed, and now it's really known as more neurodiverse or neurodevelopment, looking at the children who get stuck along the way and have disorganization in their development. My specialty is working with children who have difficulties with language, helping them develop that pathway, identifying where that challenge might be in the brain, and what do we need to do to put things in place to give them the organization that they need to have good language. Language is also related to reading, so it's not just hearing language, understanding language, the ability to speak and output our language, but also the ability to read. So I've worked a lot with children who have struggles with reading and the whole language pathway. Two of our children, once we had children, also had challenges in their learning pathway, and we learned a lot about how to help and support children and who are learning to read, who have language difficulties, and what are the stumbling blocks that get in the way, and what can you do to organize the brain. There's a lot of strategies you might be able to take, but if you're not organizing the brain at the same time, it becomes even more of a challenge. So when you organize the brain, you find that things come much more naturally, and the strategies that you put in place and the support that you give a learner helps them to learn when you're organizing the brain.
Wow, that's fantastic. I'm a retired homeschool mom and I've homeschooled all of my kids. And then also I work previously I had worked in a small private uh, Christian school, and a lot of our students there have different learning abilities and challenges. And we have quite a few students that are on the autistic spectrum. And so the administrator of our school, the principals of our school, they really have a heart for um, helping them in the environment that they are in, and a lot of times we want to segregate, right? We want to pull students out and we want to put them in a normal classroom and then a specialized classroom. But in our school, it's small and we have small class sizes. And so we're able to all be in one classroom together, and we help to train and teach the teachers how to teach the different ones with the different kinds of brains. So I'm really excited to about this interview and to learn more from you and what you're going to be bringing to Fuel and Fire this coming May in just a couple of weeks, right?
Yes.
So so on the topic of Fuel and Fire, how did you hear about Fuel and Fire, and how did you hear about Mary Alps in particular?
Well, we heard about Mary Alps in particular several years ago because we were working a lot with parents who were homeschooling their children. We homeschooled our children in various ways through the years of their education. And so we had a heart for that as well. We homeschooled and quite a lot with our children, particularly making sure that when, talking of children who go into the classroom, for example, and go into a classroom and succeed in a classroom, our children went to a small school where they would enter a small classroom. And when they were having learning challenges, it's so important that they're in the best environment to learn in. And it's quite challenging to find the right environment where they can be successful. So we were very careful with our two children who had the challenges along the way to make sure that they were put in an environment that wasn't overwhelming, where they wouldn't get completely lost. I remember years ago when our first daughter, who really struggled with reading, said to us, "Mom, I don't want to go to Sunday school anymore." I'm like, "What do you mean you don't want to go to Sunday school? It's a wonderful environment. You have a lot of friends." She said, "Yes, but they ask me to read." And she wasn't yet competent in reading and she didn't want to go to Sunday school. So just being aware of those kinds of things and making sure your children are in an environment where they can be successful. You talked about this sensory and social development of children, making sure that if they're in an environment in school, that you're supporting them socially, you're giving them the best environment, and also neurologically supporting them so that those areas of sensitivity improve and they can be more and more successful in larger groups as they go along. So we met Mary because we were working with parents who were coming to us. They knew that we also had a heart for homeschooling. We knew that the best place for a child who has a challenge to learn is at home. And finding the right way to move them into the school environment or into group environments and helping and supporting parents to understand why weren't they successful in the school environment. And a huge percentage of parents who homeschool because their children are struggling. And knowing that and going around homeschool conventions and meeting parents in different homeschool groups, we came across classical conversations, which Mary Alps was a part of. And we had quite a few
Mm.
parents who were coming to us to get the neurological support for their children who were going through the classical conversations program, and finding, of course, that if you support the brain and you support the organization, the learning becomes much greater and comes easier for them, and they don't struggle so much with memorization or whatever it is that they're working on at that time. So that's how we came to meet Mary several years back. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. So I also have one son in particular that we had him evaluated, and he came home with a diagnosis of dyslexia, and it's amazing. The first time I had him write a sentence, he wrote it in a complete circle in mirror image. Like we were out on the driveway and with sidewalk chalk. And I told him, I was like, I want you to copy the same sentence that I wrote. And I want it to look just like mommy wrote it. And he said, okay. And so he went and he wrote it in a complete circle in mirror image. And I'm just standing back there going, what just happened?
Yeah.
What is this? And I told him, I was like, I wanted you to make it look just like mommy's in a straight line, just like mommy's. And he says, it looks just like mommy's. And I'm
Mm.
like, okay, your brain sees things differently. I got it.
Yep. Yeah, and seeing
Yeah.
that and understanding that is so important. And my daughter used to write letters upside down. Most of the time, reversing is the way you described it, and they might reverse some letters or a whole sentence like your son did. But she flipped things upside down. And because we knew what we were looking at, because we were in this field and we understood the brain, when we started to see those things happening, we're like, whoa, oh boy, and there's another way of flipping things. And if your brain is doing that, then wow, what a challenge you've got as a learner to be successful. Yeah.
Yes, it is a challenge. And it that's why it's so important to have organizations and businesses like yours out there that see that this is a challenge, but you can maybe not necessarily overcome the challenge, but learn how to work with it to make it turn it into a strength. Years ago, I read a book, and I don't even remember the name of it now. But it talks about dyslexia being a gift. And so I think, yeah, that's what it is. The gift of
Gift is like,
dyslexia.
yep.
Yes. And I
Hmm.
read that book and I devoured it in just a couple of nights, because I was like, wow, it's not a disability. It's just the way that his brain was made. And if me being his main educator at that time, can learn how he operates, how he sees the world and deciphers language, then he'll be successful. And so, we were always positive with him, and we told him that this is the gift, this is the way that you were made. You learn differently, so let's see, how we can help you in the brain that you have. So
Hmm.
I so appreciate your organization, and really looking forward to learning more from you. The business owners that are coming, they're parents, right? A lot of them are parents and they're grandparents, and no two children are alike. And so, what you bring to the table is going to help them, um, to be well rounded in their learning at this event, because they're coming as a business owner, right? That's the number one reason that they're coming. But that's not entirely who they are, right?
Hmm.
There's other aspects, there's other spheres of their life. And so I really feel like, and Mary has emphasized this also, that they're just not coming to learn how to do their business better, but how to do life better and how to be a better parent or a better grandparent, to their children that may see the world differently and may learn things differently.
Yeah.
So, Carol, what is your why? Why do you want to be at Fuel and Fire?
Well, our why is our work and our passion, and doing what we do and helping and supporting parents is so important for us. Looking at the challenges, for example, and the difficulties that you had, and where you with your son, where you looked at him and said, "Okay, this is where he is, and we're going to just make things work for him." Our why, we want parents and anyone who we teach to understand the why of what's going on in their children or their
Mhm.
own brains, to understand, why do I behave this way? Why do I struggle? Maybe you might struggle in a meeting in your business and you're struggling with all the people around, or you might struggle with listening well, and just to understand your own brains. Because when we teach our parent seminar, teaching parents about the brain, helping them to understand what's going on in their child's brain, which is so important. First, understanding why things are happening the way they're learning, or the way they're not learning, and the way they're struggling. And then so many parents will be saying, "I'm seeing myself when you're talking about this. I'm understanding my own brain." And the more we understand our own brains and how we function, that's an important thing. And not only that, once you understand where you are with your brain, you can then put things in place to organize your child's brain or organize your own brain so that you can function so much better and be better at being a parent. You can support your children to help them to learn better, and you can also support yourself so that you can work better in your business as well. So, not sure if I
Yeah,
answered. But
No, you did. Your why is because there's a why behind struggles.
hmm
And that's really important. That's really um inspirational, really, because your why isn't just because you and your husband love this type of work, you love learning, you love how the brain works, but your why is who it's for, who is it serving, who is it bettering, right? It's not just to fulfill yourselves, it's at a much bigger, much greater purpose,
hmm
because it's cliche to say it, but it's true. Our children are our future,
hmm
and when I'm in the classroom with teaching the students, and they're goofing off and they're being silly and everything, just being kids, right? Sometimes I just brought it serious, and I'm like, you think that this is fun, and school's a place where you come and you get to have your friends with you all day, and then you get to have recess, and you get to eat with your friends. I said, but do you know that you're here for a much bigger purpose? I said, you're going to be the ones that are voting for our president one day. You're the ones that's going to be making the decisions about your city government and your county government and your state government. You're going to be making big decisions one day. And so it's our jobs as teachers to make sure that, yes, you're having fun at school, but that you're also here for the designed purpose for being here. So sorry, got off on a little
Oh, that's
rabbit
good. I
trail.
mean, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Education's my heart. So,
Yes. Well, yeah, me
but
too. I love being in the classroom and I love teaching and that was a big passion for me in teaching my children. I thought I just want to keep having children. I want to have more children, teach them and work with them. But then there's a point where you obviously that ends and you have to say, okay, what's the next step? So moving to not working directly in the classroom, working or in a preschool, which is where I started. I get my little kicks through the week now because I have grandchildren. So, I always show up with a little bag of things and we're going to do some projects. I don't just show up and sit. We're going to work together and have a lot of fun. So I get it through that. But when we started our business, it really was, I want parents to be able to do what I've done. I want to dig in more deeply with learning things like play therapy and different ways to support social development for children who do have those social challenges in the classroom, might be labeled autistic or have just some level of social challenges, and parents knowing how do I connect with my children, how do I support them when they struggle with regulation is really important for us. And in regards to the business side, though, I was also thinking, we Matthew and I both very early on, we love what we do. We love helping and supporting the families and running a clinic. And we very early on realized that's our specialty. That's what we do the best. And we're not business people. We have to learn and we have to do, but we need to also bring into our business people who can help and support us and who have the skills to make sure that this business doesn't fail. So many clinics fail because they don't have the support from the specialists in different areas of running a business, and consequently they are not so successful, or they stay just a small, and that might be what that particular business wants. But for us, we wanted to be able to reach out a lot more, to be able to grow. And so we have brought experts in and made sure we always have a good administrative support team. Let the people who do the numbers run the numbers and tell us how, where do we need to be and how often do we need to be doing different things. And, we have enough understanding to move things forward, make the big decisions, but make sure that those people help us run our business and keep it in moving forward, which is really important. Yeah.
yeah, that's fantastic. I'm so glad that you shared that, because not only what you're bringing to Fuel and Fire is your expertise in how the brain works and how to help your children or grandchildren learn, but you're also a expert at being a business owner. And so you're able to bring that knowledge and that wisdom with you and insight to Fuel and Fire this May so that you can share what you just shared here about knowing what you're good at and knowing where you need help and bringing in those right people that can help you with the finances, with the marketing, with the, answering the calls and the emails and all the things, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, um, who are you excited to hear from at Fuel and Fire this May?
That's a good question. I'm not sure that I've looked through enough at everybody's profiles to really answer that clearly. So I probably need to go and have a look just. But in general, I mean, as I said, we're always wanting to learn, and there's always things that we can learn and learn from. So I want to kind of think about that and think about who do we want to hear from. But we always want to just absorb anything that's going to help us with our business and anything that's going to
Yeah.
help us move forward. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. And I understand that there's different keynote speakers, and then there's different break-off sections. So there's going to be a handful of people there, and that's what's going to be great about the lunch on Thursday. So we have the morning session on Thursday, and then we have a lunchtime, and then an afternoon section or session. So the lunchtime is going to give us that time to mingle with the other attendees and the other speakers and get little snippets of one-on-one time with them and in a more casual setting to be able to learn and glean from them and network. So it's going to be really good. So Wednesday night, you're going to be doing a Neuro Playground.
Hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So the Neuro Playground kind of has grown over the years from different classes that we've taught, where as a early childhood educator and working initially in preschools and with young children, and then working in this field for quite a while, working with special children primarily with challenges, special needs of varying degrees. I still always had the passion for well children and neurotypical children, and knowing that what is neurotypical? What is a child who is on the normal, is it normal? What is normal? And really there really isn't anything that's normal, but obviously there's a point
Mhm.
where children tip over and they're really struggling more and they need a much more focused pathway to be on, and parents need to learn how to support them through different therapies. But what about the children, the brothers and the sisters? And we had so many parents who'd say, well, what about the brothers and sisters? What should they be doing? And how can I work together in a family? So we taught a lot of families how to work together with keeping a focus on the child that needed the help the most, but the other children were benefiting as well. And we would see parents would come in, child had an eye turning a little bit into the nose, and they're like, well, she's not my child that's got the biggest challenges, but look, she's got her eyes turning in. What can we do about that? And then it's supporting the parents say, well, have them join these activities with John, who's doing this program as well, and that you'll start to see those things change, and they do change. So we really wanted to develop a course, and we did develop a course for children that were neurotypical and developing in a typically developing way, and helping parents to understand what are the important milestones, what parts of the brain are responsible for when they make those different changes and when they make different milestones. And we developed we've had a 1 day course, we've had a 2 day course, and a few years ago we went to Colombia and we taught a course there to educators. There were educators, parents in the room teaching them about the brain and how to identify some of some people call it the low-hanging fruit, the smaller issues that really can derail a child who's struggling maybe just a little bit with learning or reading in the classroom, and how do teachers and parents and educators really identify that. So knowing, and you need to know what wellness is before you can know when the brain's hurt. So we developed this course, we taught this course, and then the next step was to teach a program to the teachers in preschool and up to about 7 years of age in Colombia with children, and put it into the classroom for parent. And the program was developed to be done a few days a week in the classroom, and a couple of days a week at home. So both the parents and the students were learning. We put the course online so that they would all be able to learn it. It was translated into Spanish, and they all learned it. So we had about 1,000 people go through this class. And we developed a Neuro Playground for those children. But this Neuro Playground was developed specifically for children from 2 years up to 7 or 8 years of age. But the same principles can be for any age. And so we're going to talk more about the Neuro Playground, how it was developed, and we're going to take anyone who's in the room. You're going to go through it with us. We're going to set up a little course and the little stations that we did for the children, because it doesn't matter whether you're 2, 5, 7, or you're an adult. You can benefit from organizing your brain through physical activities, sensory activities, and we're going to show you what those activities are, how it changes the brain, and teach you about that as you go through it practically and learn from us as we do it together.
That sounds like a really fun evening. So, what I'm picturing is um, instead of coming in a buttoned up suit with a tie that's all straight, maybe we want to come a little bit more casual so we can get in and actually play.
Absolutely, absolutely. Come in your workout clothes. Don't wear any suits or ties, and do not wear a dress. You want to be wearing, dressed ready to be on the floor. We're going to be on the floor a lot of the time. That's where children are. That's where they learn and they organize their brains, and that's where we as adults can also do that. So just as if you were going to the gym, dress that way.
Oh man, that sounds like a really fun evening that we're all looking forward to. So, Carol, we need to wrap it up just in a couple of minutes. But before we do that, is there something that you want to say that I haven't given you the opportunity to say? Or is there a question that I should have asked, but I didn't? Just, is there, just share with us something that, that you want to be able to have the freedom to share.
No, I don't think so. I think we've pretty much covered it, and I'm really looking forward to being there, to meeting a lot of people who are really passionate about their businesses, hearing about from them and learning from them, as well as sharing how you can improve your brain and you can have a really good, healthy brain and be the best that you want to be for the work that you have.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Carol. Where else can people learn about you and your husband?
So the best place to go is on at the Family Hope Center, www.familyhopecenter.com. That's our website. We also have a Facebook group. We have an Instagram group, and we also have some LinkedIn as well. So just look for Family Hope Center, and you'll find us.
Great. Thank you so much, Carol. And there's still a few spots left for you to register for Fuel and Fire 2026 in Manassas, Virginia. You can go to excuse me, bdicore.com, and you'll see the link there where it says register now, and you can click that and it'll take you right over to the registration page. Thank you again, Carol, and I'm really looking forward to the Neuro Playground and to your keynote speaking on Thursday. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.